Good evening, Zimbabwe. You are listening to Studio 7 from the Voice of America in Washington on Monday, April 4th, 2022. This is Live Talk. I am Gibbs Dube.
And I'm Marvelous Mhlanganya, who are broadcasting from my home in Washington, D.C. due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Tonight on Live Talk, we are talking about possibilities of setting up an opposition coalition ahead of the 2023 general elections.
Some supporters of the Opposition Citizens Coalition for Change, led by Nelson Chamisa, say they won't work with Douglas Monzora's Movement for Democratic Change, or MDCT, led by Thokozani Kupe, which recalled parliamentarians and councillors, resulting in the holding of by-elections a week ago. They argue that Monzora should not be allowed to be part of the CCC machine that crushed to victory in the council and parliamentary by-elections.
The MTCT says it is ready to work with all progressive Zimbabweans in order to bring social, economic and political change in Zimbabwe. Independent political commentators also say it is important for the opposition to form a coalition ahead of the crucial elections.
And in world news, mass graves of hundreds of bodies have been found in Ukraine's Bucha and Irpin cities, which were seized by Russians a month ago. Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia should pay for the atrocities.
Addressing attendance at the Grammy Awards last night, Zelensky appealed for help in fighting the Russian invasion. He has also appealed for military and humanitarian support from NATO members and others.
Russia continues shelling in the southern Odessa region after pulling off its troops from areas surrounding the capital Kyiv, in what appears to be a strategic move to seize a huge part of the country elsewhere.
Ibuhambe mahlaba ezulwini njani lapha likhona endaweni zonke zomhlaba lamhla ke siku-Live Talk lapha esikhuluma khona ngokuningi okunye okusikhuluma ngakho khona manje sikhuluma ngokhetho okusanda kwenziwa loma by-elections njalo lokuthi kuzahamba njani nxa sikhangele kusiya phambili kambe amabandla azabumba yini umanyano lo kuthiwa ke i-coalition kumbe hatshi sifuna ukuzwa ngani ukuthi lithini ngakhonokho ibandla le-Citizens Coalition for Change lithi kuza kuba nzima ukuthi lisebenze lo Monzora labanye so-ke kuningi ngani kukhona kodwa bakhona abanye bathi ukusebenza ndawonye yikho okusebenzayo ukuthi abantu banqobe ibandla le-ZANU-PF. Nxa siya phambili sibili siyabona ukuthi kulokhetho kuqakatheke kakhulu oluzakwenziwa ngo-2023 so-ke abaningi bathi i-MDCT kuzobuya i-CCC lamanye amabandla aphikisayo kumele abambane. Nxa sikhangela okwenzakala emhlabeni wonke jikelele sibonile-ke kumabonakude njalo le-Reuters News Agency ibika ukuthi kulamangcwaba lokhu kuthiwa ngama-mass graves atholakale khona ngale iBucha le-Irpin. La-ke ngamadolobho lapho-ke okwakubanjwe khona ngama-Russians. Ama-Russians sawatshala inyanga ingene khona ngale kwele Ukraine esithi-ke umongameli Volodymyr Zelensky labanye bakhe basekela khona kwakusenziwa ngo-Hitler kudala kodwa-ke uZelensky uyakuphika konke lokhu. uZelensky izolo simbonile ku-Grammy Awards aphume khona kumabonakude sithi ucela uncedo. So siyakwazi khona manje ukuthi i-NATO isimnike uncedo lwezikhali njalo ulwisana ngamandla le-Russia. So siyabona ukuthi kuningi akudingayo. Okwamanje-ke ele-Russia lihlasela ngamandla khona ngale e-Odessa. Le-ke indawo enkulu kakhulu elamafutha epetulo kubuye njalo ibambene lolwandle. So-ke bangayibamba i-Russia kukhanya ngazani kuyawonakala izinto eziningi. So ele-Russia kukhanya ngazani selidinga ukuthi likhiphe amabutho alo duzane le-Kyiv lapho isigodlo sakole Ukraine liyawafaka khona ngale ku-Odessa le-Donetsk region ukwenza ukuthi bathathe-ke i-chunk yakhona ngale bayenze yabo. So kunjalo-ke marvelous khona ngale ukwenzakala okuningi ngena khona.
Aiwa, tinokuchingamidza nemufaro nhasi nemusi wemuvhuro April 4. Ini ndini Marvelous ndiri kuWashington DC. Nhasi tichange tiri kutarisa isu nyaya yezviri kutaurwa nevazhinji, vamwe vari kuti ivo vari kuda kuti remapato anopikisa vawanikwe ivo vachibatana kuitira kuti panosvika sarudzo dza2023 vagobuda vasina ivo kupatsanura mavhoti. Asi vamwewo vachishora zvakare vachiti havasi kuda kuti bato guru remunyika rinopikisa reCitizens Coalition for Change ribate neiro nere-MDCT yava Douglas Monzora uyezve neyava Mai Thokozani Kupe neMDC Alliance vachiti ivo havasi kufara kuti vaviri ava vawanikwe ivo vachipinda mumubatanidzwa uyu. Asi zvakamira zvakadaro, vamwewo vanoti ivo zvakakosha kuti vanhu vakande zvavanofunga kurutivi vapinde mumubatanidzwa kuitira kuti vawanikwe ivo mune ramangwana vachibuda vachikunda misarudzo ichatevera ya2023 yemutungamiri wenyika. Tichange zvakare tiri kutarisa isu pamusoro penyaya yezviri kuitika munyika yeUkraine, umo takaona nezuro mutungamiri wenyika iyi vaZelensky vachiuya ivo vari pachivhitivhiti vachitaura vari kumaGrammy Awards anga ari ivo muno muAmerica kuHollywood, vachikumbira ivo rubatsiro rwekuti vawanikwe ivo vachipiwa rubatsiro rwekuti vakwanise kukunda Russia. Asi tikaona zvakare imo munyika meRussia vanhu vachiwanikwa ivo vakawanda vari kuwanikwa vakabhombwa uyezve vakafa vari munzira. Zviri kushorwa nepasi rose kuti izvi hazvisisinei nehondo, sezvo vanhuwo zvavo vasinei nezvemauto vari kuwanikwa ivo vachiurayiwa muRussia pari zvino. Saka taona isu mutungamiri wenyika yeAmerica pari zvino vaBiden vanga vari kutotaura vachiti ivo zviri kuitika muRussia pari zvino aiwa zvaenderera mberi, uyezve ivo nedzimwe nyika vachange vari vachange vari kusangana vachizeya kuti zvirango zvakatemerwa nyika yeRussia zvingawanikwe zvichiwedzerwa sei. Saka ndo zvimwe zvinhu zvatichange tiri kutaura pamusoro pezvazvo. Ipo pano tichitaurawo nenyanzvi dzezvematongerwo enyika kuti vatipewo mafungiro avo kuti vanoona sei zviri kuitika nyaya muhondo iyi iri pakati peUkraine neRussia. Taona zvakare iyo Russia ichiti yakumbobvisa mauto ayo ichienda kwatinoti kumucheto kwenyika, asi pavari kuenda ikoko vari kunzivo vari kusiya vachiuraya vanhu vazhinji. Izvo zviri kushorwa, uyezve tatoona pasi rose richiti vanofanira kutongwa kumatare makuru nenyaya iyi yavari kuita yekuuraya vanhu vasinei nechekuita nehondo.
Yes, we've got our first guest tonight, who is a Zimbabwean living in Canada right now. His name is Kudzai Samaita. Mr. Samaita, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me. Greetings to you, Marvelous, as well.
Thank you very much. Yes, so what's in your mind when we talk about forming coalitions ahead of the 2023 elections?
Okay, so the first thing is minor opposition parties are known to disrupt the votes. They split the votes, and that's not something healthy that we want to do as a country. Zimbabwe, in its very nature, is a country that has a common enemy. Everybody knows that ZANU-PF is the common enemy. I therefore advocate for people to unite rather than be found in vote-splitting parties. People should all unite and form one thing. However, for people to unite, they need relevance. Unfortunately, people like Makupe, people like Twaga's Republic, people like what's the other one, Monzora, all those are irrelevant right now. We don't want to be talking about that. They should all just rally behind CCC, which has become the alternative party right now, which is the real deal, and that way we can fight the common enemy that we have.
Yeah, nxa ukhangele wena ngokubona kwakho baba Samaita, ubona zanike ukuthi kubunjwe umanyano kuyiwa kukhetho. Kambe kunceda ngani khona?
Abantu kumele ukuthi bemanyane. Njengoba kukhulunywa ngesikhiwa kuthiwa united we stand and divided we fall. Kuqakathekile ke ukuthi izizalwane zeZimbabwe zimanyane, sibe yinto eyodwa sonke. Siyekele ukucabanga ngama tribes ethu, siyekele ukucabanga ngenkolo zethu lakho konke. Okwakhathesi kuyaba into ezasiza kakhulu ukuthi sibambane, silwise iZANU-PF. Nxa singayehlule ukwenza khona kuyaba ngamagwegwe, kungamagwegwe vele kithi ukuthi sihlukane, sizama ukukhangelana ngolimi esikhuluma ngendima esizikhulumayo, sikhangelana ngenkolo zethu nento ezinjalo. Kuyaba ngamagwegwe azasiza iZANU-PF ngoba iyakuthakazelela khona khani ukuthi abantu bexabane bebe behlukene. izanu PF kuyayithokozisa khona kyana. So abantu kabamanyane sibe yinto eyodwa njengoba uChamisa ekhona kunguye umuntu esikhangelela ukuthi engaba ngumthungameli o relevant right now, abantu kabasekele yena.
Yes, siyakuzwa ke Marvelous ungangena khonapho ke umbuze ongambuza khona.
Unoona sei nyaya iri kutaurwa yekuti vanhu ngavawane vachibatana vasati vapinda musarudzo dzemuna 2023?
Sekutaura kwandaita both muchirungu nemuchindebele, zvinhu zvakakosha fani kuti vanhu vabatane tiite chinhu chimwe chete. Tiri nyika yeZimbabwe pari zvino, zvizvarwa zvenyika yeZimbabwe zvinoziya kuti kupatsanuka kwemavotes kunobatsira ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF inofara chaizvo kana vanhu vachipatsanuka vachiita tumapato tudiki. Dai waro vanhu vangobatana, taziva kuti common enemy yedu munyika iZANU-PF. Mapati ese aungane pamwe chete tiri kuise pati imwe iyoyi yatinoziya yeZANU-PF. Yatadza kutungamirira yauraya nyika for the last 42 years. Dai vanhu vangobatana tiite chinhu chimwe chete is the only way we can win and survive.
Asika tinoona vamwe vari kuti iwa mapato guru sere Citizens Coalition for Change iro rakabva mubato re-MDCT hatifanire kubatana zvakare nebato iro re-MDCT kana ramu zvarethokozani kupe. Sei vanhu vari kuwanikwa vachidaro tichiona kuti vhoti imwe inogona kuchinja zvinhu zvakawanda?
Tumapati tuya twatove unnecessary. Haasisiri mapati ari serious. Vanhu vakutonyatsoziya kuti pati ye-MDC nepati ye-MDC yathokozani kupe, mapati iwaya ave irrelevant. Right now vanhu vakutoziya kuti CCC is the only relevant party. It's the only alternative government yatingatowana muZimbabwe. Saka tumapati twana thokozani kupe nepati dzana monzora tuya kuda kuzvigutsa ivo matumbu avo, hakusi kuda kushandira nyika. Ivo vari kutotsvagawo zvinzvimbo. Naizvozvo vanhu ngavasave nenguva yekuvateerera. Vana thokozani kupe nana monzora pachezvavo vanonyatsoziyawo futi kuti pati inodiwa nevanhu ipati ye-Yellow Movement. Naizvozvo kana kuri kuti vane shungu nekugadzirisa nyika, ngavangosiya zvavari kuita izvi zvemahumbwe vauye vazobatana nevamwe kuCCC tigadzirise nyika.
Siyakuzwa kakhulu ke baba Kudzai Samaita baba khonapho sibise ke ubaba uSipho Ngulube. Mr. Ngulube, welcome to the program. Sicela uhlale ukhona ukuze sikubone kuhle. Asikubone kuhle khona manje. So ke nxa sikhangela baba Ngulube khona okukhulunywa ngabanye abantu abaningi. Bakhuluma sibona ngokuthi amabandla kumele abambane ngesikhathi sokhetho. Wena ukubona njani khona?
Baba Dube ngiyabonga, ngibongela abanye abakhona lapha. Thina kudala sikuchumayela ukuthi amabandla kabambane. Kudala sikuchumayela. But okusalayo engisakuphinda ukuthi agenda yokubambana is it the right agenda na? Balenhloso enhle ngokubambana kumbe balenhloso yokusebenzisa abanye na? Yiwumbuzo enlawo. Ngiphindile mina ngathi kulabantu abaningi abasebenzisa ipolitiki njengomsebenzi, career politician. Bakhona siyabaqamba sibaqamba. Thina ke kasibaqambi ngama region njengabanye ababaqamba ngama region. Sibaqamba bonke ukuthi labantu abasebenzisa abaku politics as career. Yebo sesidlule lapho, but okusalayo ukuthi iagenda yama opposition iyinye na? Kulama opposition amanye lobe le genuine agenda, are they treating the other regions, other tribes equally na ku opposition? Kolokana is a must into abamele bayikhanyele. Nxa bengayithathi serious, ngikutshela khathesi abanye abantu bayaqalisa ukukhuluma, ngifuna ukuspecify abathi emathebeleni abantu they are voting for CCC. But we know a good number is ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF is good, getting a good number was Zimba banibani. Ama numbers amaningi abantu abavotela iZANU-PF basemashonalend, emashonalend rural areas. So abantu bezinye indawo nxa bekhuluma bezama ukuraise ama issues babeka ama tribal issues. Khathesi abantu sebekubona khathesi ukuthi ZANU is the common enemy. But emathebeleni ZANU has been always an enemy from 1980. Thina seko situation out abantu beZANU abantu emathebeleni bebulawela just for not speaking a certain language. abanye ama-leaders emathebeleni bebizwa dissidents public kuma-platform wonke umuntu. They have never said a word. They have never said a word. But namhlanje izanu isiyi-common enemy. Thina kithi emathebeleni izanu has been always an enemy. But abantu emathebeleni sebediniwe, ubabona bengasavoti, badiniwe, abasavoti. Ungaqala khathesi more than 50% yabantu emathebeleni abavotanga, abavoti futhi, badiniwe. Abantu bangaku-understanda khonokho, baku-addresse, bangaku-addresse ngendlela zabo ukuthi bathi nxa umuntu wemathebeleni be-raise issue, bamkhombe ngomunye, siza-improve siye ku-next point. But asoze siye ku-next point as long besakhondema abanye abantu. That's the first issue. We must have to address first things first. Hayi ukuthi sijampe siyephusha indima ekuqaliseni indima ingacandwanga.
Yes, siyakuzwa kakhulu. So I think you can hear, Mr. Samaita, the discontentment that is being expressed by Mr. Sipho Ngulube in terms of some regions. They're saying they're voting for what they're doing because they've been doing that, but they're voting for ZANU-PF and all these kind of things, but they've got a grievance. What could be a reaction to that? Yes.
I fully agree with what he is saying. However, the only point where I sort of want to bring my point differently is that when we talk about the first things, what's the first thing? The first thing, according to me, is to remove ZANU-PF. Akula muntu ongakwaziyo ukuthi abantu bemathebeleleni bacindezelwa. Akula muntu ongakwaziyo ukuthi abantu besindebeleni balahlwa i-government for the last 42 years. But eqinisweni wonke umuntu vele walahlwa. Abantu babulawa everywhere. Of course, we are not going to compare the numbers. Esindebeleni iGukurawundi was a civil war. That's a topic which is sensitive and it's a topic on its own. Perhaps we don't want to digress for now. But ZANU-PF has been a party known for butchering people. Lakudala ngesikhathi sikamzorewa abantu babebulawa kuthiwa ngumtengesi njengokubulawa kwabantu kwakusenziwa emathebeleleni. So ZANU-PF vele siyayazi ukuthi bangababulali. I therefore say, mina, my advocating is asimanyaneni ndawonye wonke umuntu Shona, Ndebele, Khalanga, Nyanja, Xhosa, Bhemba, Zulu, sonke kasibambaneni silwise isitha esikhulu esiyisitha seZANU-PF. Sithi nxa ngabe sesikhipha iZANU-PF abalezikhalazo zabo njengalaba obaba Ngulube bebe sebeletha ke izikhalazo zabo. I believe we will have a new crop of leadership, a different kind of leadership with different philosophies and different ways of executing things. I don't see them being as difficult as ZANU-PF. Nxa ngabe sokungena iCCC esikhundleni.
Yeah, can you put that in English? Go ahead, say what you're saying right now.
Okay, so sorry that I mixed.
No, it's okay. You can go ahead. I think
all these things. So
yes. Go ahead, sir.
Somebody was calling me. Am I back on air?
Yes, you are back on air. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying the problem that we currently have is that the greatest problem, the greatest cancer we have in Zimbabwe is ZANU-PF. If only people could stop focusing on other tributary problems and focus on just the one problem, which is ZANU-PF. Let's all unite, deal with ZANU-PF. After we've eliminated ZANU-PF, then we can begin to bring in all our other petitions. For example, Matabeleland region has complained about being sidelined for a long time. We know for a fact ZANU-PF is not going to change. ZANU-PF has done the same kind of leadership, has used the same philosophy for the last 42 years. Their philosophy of butchering people is not a philosophy they only applied to the region of Matabeleland. People were killed in Zimba, where Ngulube is talking about. People were killed in Chinhoyi. People were killed in Mutare. As early as 1979, ZANU-PF had started killing people, accusing them of being batengesi, abatengisi. People were killed in 2007, 2008 by the same ZANU-PF. Doesn't matter which region of the country they were. So I'm not undermining the levels of the atrocities committed in the Gukurawundi period. But I am saying ZANU-PF has always been a party known for not being afraid of spilling human blood. And so, according to me, the most important thing right now is for people to unite, eliminate ZANU-PF, and then bring other petitions on the table. CCC will definitely come with a different philosophy. And if CCC continues to use the ZANU-PF philosophy, they will be a smaller party and easier to deal with than ZANU-PF.
Thank you very much. Just stay on the line. Let's bring in Mr. Thembelihle Ndlovu. Thembelihle Ndlovu, I think, belongs to MRP, Mtwazi Republic Party. Siyamukela kuhlelo baba Thembelihle.
Angibonge baba uDube.
Akusitsheleke ukuthi wena ubona njani udaba namhlanje.
Edabeni namhlanje baba mina ngizohlala ngime nomthwakazi. Okumeni kwami nomthwakazi ngithemba siyazi sonke akudingi ukuthi size sigcine siqamba lokhu nalokhu nalokhu kodwa abantu besazi ukuthi isitho esibhekane naso isiphi. Ngima kumthwakazi ngima ukuthi iZANU-PF noma singabe siyisusa kumanje ithi ZANU seyiphumile ingene leyo CCC. These people they're going to be with us manje ngoba befuna ukuthi basuse that leader ekhona kumanje ukuthi nabo bakwazi ukuleader, right? From there mabeqeda ukuthi sebesusiwe leyo party abayisusayo abasayinaki imthwakazi bengayinaki imthwakazi bazoze bebuye maso kumele futhi kuvote sebezodukisa abantu bakithi baqede mabe badukisile abantu bakithi bengasakwazi ukuthi baqonde kuphi babuye futhi abantu bakithi bagcwale khona ngale ngoba vele umbuso usuke ukhona. Sibuye emuva iZANU iyakwazi ukuthi kuyenze ukuthi abantu bavote ngodlame ngokuhlukunyezwa beshaya abadala bese ukuthi thina komthwakazi sebeyacabanga abantu ukuthi hey kunento leyake yenzeka abathi ground. Even still now we lose our fathers, we lose our mothers nama sisters sabaluza ngendaba yezalo. So the only thing I can stick on the point umthwakazi awufundi ukuthi vele asinalutho but sizoba nalo ulutho noma siundaba mlonyweni. We have to strong nomqondisi until we get the powerful men. Umqondisi is a slender ngumuntu onomzimba omncane ongambona umyeyise but engumuntu ongaletha inkululeko komthwakazi.
So in brief, what are you saying about forming coalitions? Should MRP be part of a coalition ahead of the elections?
Yes, MRP must register to go to elections, and then I will stand with them even to talk everything about Mtwagazi. And then I will be happy if we're going to get 50%. That thing is going to make Mtwagazi to be strong.
So they shouldn't be part of CCC and MTCT and other parties in terms of coalition ahead of the elections?
Because if you understand, Baba, you can't be part with your enemy. This thing is going to be the same that our father Nkomo did to ZANU-PF, to be part with the ZANU-PF. At the end, they turn the table before they eat. Bajikisa amatafula uNkomo eserelaxile etshela ukuthi hayi labantu ngihamba nawo. And then thina futhi sesiphinda futhi sihlale nabetafuleni sibambisana nabo ukuthi sikhiphe isitha esiyiZANU-PF. Labana abantu ngomalume nabachana nabomzala nabo banibani. Those guys bonke njengamashona angeze umuntu esindebeleni othiwa nguye ofuna uvotelo. Labantu esikhuluma ngabo ngabempumalanga bonke abayizitha zethu but bengabantwana babadala abayibo abakhoza inkinga esindebeleni. So thina ke intsha asikwazi ukuthi sihlala nabetafuleni kathi-ke bahlala etafuleni nomkhulu owethu ongumqabuko bamjikela futhi amatafula. Kumanje siyasokola akekho yazi iBulawayo team ikanjani eMashonaland ngalo ngababuza ngesikhathi seBulawayo akekho nokwazi ukuthi zinjani itrata zakho.
Yeah, thank you Thembelihle, thank you Ndlovu. Hold on there. Let's go to Professor Masocha, Ellion Masocha. I think he's around now. Welcome to the program, sir. Ellion Masocha, I think your mic is muted somehow. Can you take care of your mic? I think I've opened the mic, but there's an issue with your mic. Can you hear me now? Quiet. Don't touch it. I'll touch it from this end. So go ahead, sir. How are you? So it seems as if your microphone is not activated. Can you activate it and come back? Activate it and come back. So let's bring in Marvelous Dlanganyawe so that we can continue with the program. So Marvelous, there you are. You can hear MRP. They are saying They don't want to be part of this coalition. Not at all.
I think I would like you to bring back the young gentleman from MRP. I have a question for him.
Yeah, okay. Let me bring him. Here he comes. Yeah, there he is. So go ahead. His name is Thembelihle Ndlovu.
Mr.
Thembelihle, mhm.
I
Yeah,
heard
ma'am.
you saying that you are not interested at all to get into a coalition with parties like the CCC. Why is that? Who is your common enemy? Are they your enemy?
Right. What I can say to you is, as I said before,
Mhm.
those CCC, it was a party, one party with MTC for Tsvangirai.
Mhm.
Those people, they separate on different groups. Even now, they are different groups.
Mhm.
So even if they're going to be together, they're going to be separate again. Because the first thing, that thing make them to separate. What is going to block the separate again? West of party going to put in Ndebele, and then Ndebele, they know Ndebele and Shona it's an enemy, animal and animal. That's why I'm saying to be united or to be together, I don't think it's going to be the solution. The only problem and the only thing I want to say to Mtwagas, don't forget what did to Mr. Nkomo.
Mhm. But looking at your analogy, when you're fighting a bigger enemy, isn't it better for you to form a coalition first and then talk about your differences? Because we just saw the recently ended by-elections. Did your party get any seats?
No.
So
You see what I can.
how are you then expecting to be able to have your leader voted in as the
One
leader
second.
of Zimbabwe?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Thembelihle.
Okay. What I can say, it's easy to fight with enemy. You can take your neighbor and go and fight with enemy.
Yeah.
But if your neighbor is a poison to you, it's not easy. Sometimes the moment you go in war with your neighbor, it's going to be backfiring to you. The
So
only thing what I can say,
yes. So
the
what
only
you're
thing,
saying now, is you don't want a scenario like what happened to Joshua Nkomo, right?
yes, that one is the very sensitive thing, is attaching me on my heart. Mr. Nkomo was giving us a peace in Mtwagazi. At the end, the moment Madala passed away, no one thinking about Thembelihle or Mtwagazi until now.
Ufake ngesindebele briefly khonokho.
Right. Solo-ke ubaba umqabuko wasishiya emhlabeni. Akuzange kwaba nomuntu owake wacabanga ngomthwakazi kuze kube kumanje. Namanje sebekhuluma ngomthwakazi ngoba sokunomfana omncane omqondisi owuyo seqala ukuvusa abantu amakhanda. The most people ade bekwenza bebekhala ngegugurawundi kungena umuntu ophakamisa ivoice. Now sokunomqondisi sebekwazi ukuthi singakwazi ukuthi i-CCC nale kalo bathi ubandenye MDCT zibambane nomthwakazi bafuna ukuthi sisebenze njengokwenza ubaba uNkomo kube the same thing after 2 years.
So yes, there
So
we
can
are.
I?
Yes, go ahead, Samaita.
Okay, so there's one very big thing that I want to address here that has been said by my brother Ndlovu. I don't agree with him at all when he says the Shonas are enemies of the Ndebele. That's not true. And this is so ancient. We don't want that kind of backward thinking as we try to fix our country. It's not true that Shonas and Ndebeles are enemies. For goodness sake, there are millions of intermarriages that have taken place right now. These people have become our nieces. These people have become our uncles. You guys have become our uncles and our nieces. We have taken your sisters. You have taken our sisters. We have become one. We are becoming one. You know what? If you walk into the streets of Bulawayo right now, you can speak in Shona or Ndebele and people will understand you. That's how people have been combining. That's how people have been becoming one. And this is a process that did not start yesterday. It's been happening for years, a long time now. People have been intermarrying and tribalism has become a thing of the past. I know that we do have atrocities that were committed. Those things still have to be atoned for. Nobody is going to underpin them. We are not going to forget that this thing still needs to be fixed. However, the people who committed those atrocities are still at the helm of power right now. And so it cannot be fixed as long as they are there. I want, for the purposes of emphatic repetition, to say that it's not true that Shonas are enemies of the Ndebele. That's not true.
Tovunza ipapo vaSamaita kuti munoona sei zviri kutaurwa nemunyarikani wedu vari kuti ivo semaonero avo bato ravo harizombofa rakabatana nemamwe mapato akadai savana CCC nekuti hapana kudyidzana. Vari kuti ivo vakarwadziwa zvakanyanya pane zvakaitika kuna vaJoshua Nkomo.
Vakataura vachidaro, then vanofanira kuziva kuti bato ravo harimbofi rakazotonga narinhu wose, harina kwarichambofara rakasvika. Chekutanga, vanhu vavo vashoma chaizvo. Vari vashoma kudaro vanhu vebato irori. Hakuna munhu ari kuda kuvateerera. Ruzhinji rwevana veZimbabwe hari kuwirirani nefilosofi yekupatsanura vanhu namarudzi. Vanhu dai vabatana tarwisana neuipi hweZANU-PF. Kana tichinge tapedza kurwisana neuipi hweZANU-PF, tochitanga kudzokera kumashure tichinogadzirisa pakakanganiswa pese neZANU-PF. Ende hatikwanisi kuzviita zvinhu izvozvi kana tisina kubatana. Ende hachisi chokwadi chataurwa navaNdlovu kuti hanzi izvo Mashona neMandebele havadyidzani. Inhema dziya hakuna zvinhu zvakadaro. Vanhu vechiNdebele mazuva ano vava vazukuru vedu uye vakwasha vedu. Nesuwo tiri vanatsanu kumaNdebele tiri kutorana tichingodaro, and there's been so many intermarriages dzaitika pakati pevanhu vechishona neMandebele.
Yes, yakuzwa kakhulu ke sicela ubambe khonapho ke Samaita sizwe ubaba uJoseph Ndlovu kade ngenile lapho uJoseph Ndlovu. Ndlovu uyasizwa baba?
Ngizwa kakhulu. Linjani?
Siyaphila kakhulu ngena phosela khonapho. Phosela khona.
Siyaphila. Yazi ngiyachiseka ngila. Ngicela ukuphendula ubaba nje. Loqeda ukukhuluma inkinga isishona kangisazi. Ngiyacabanga ukuthi ukhuluma ngemishado ekhona njengoba ngishilo nje ngithi isishona kangisazi. Ngiyacabangela ukuthi ukhuluma ngani. Mangambuza nje manje nakumbuza ubaba.
Nakumbuza ukukhala. Ubona ngazani kumele kubunjwe yini umanyano ungakenzi ukhetho olubuyayo. Khonapho ke uko lapho sikhona lapha.
Mina asenze kanje baba. Before ngiqhubeke ngicela ukuthi khona kuwe, I'm a non-political party supporter. Kodwa ngivele esiNdebeleni. Alright. Ngingumuntu waseSindebeleni nje. Bese ngikhona ukwenzakalayo. So lokhana ngicabanga ukuthi lo muntu okhulumayo lo manje oqeda ukukhuluma manje lanxa ngingamzwa ekhuluma isishona bengithi kuna kuye asikho isidingo sokuthi kubanjanwe ngoba vele okwenzakala ngobaba uNkomo kwabona mbani nobani. Lo mntwana ole4 years uyakwazi ukuthi iNdebele alizange libonakale njengomuntu eshoneni. Ngikhuleke ngalokho, ngikhulekele phambili ngithi kona angibuza ubaba okhuluma ngemishado. Ngiyacabangela ngithi angazi ubekho kanjalo na. Zingaki izalukazi zaseSindebeleni esishoneni ngikhuluma naye manje? Akukho lokho nje ukuthi badinga amavoti laba abantu. Angivumelani nokuthi umthwakazi bambane nabo CC nabo ZANU. Umthwakazi akazimele. Kodwa ke mina angisupporti even a single political party eZimbabwe.
Yes, wenelisa ukufaka ngesikhiwa kumbe awenelisi? Just 2 seconds. Upho ukuthi ngesikhiwa kancane. Should there be any coalition? That's why we're hitting.
No. There mustn't be any coalition at all because the Shonas have never recognized the Ndebeles. Mase ngabuza ngiqhubekele phambili ngithi ubaba lo lesibonga kwazi
Ndlovini What is later ubaba Professor
Yebo.
Ellion Masocha says uthi yena uthini? Mr. Masocha, welcome to the program. Yes, sir. I think today you have got some challenge with your system. I don't know what is going on. Can you hear us? No, you can hear us, but we can't hear you. I think maybe it's all to do with the activation of your mic. So while we are doing something there, let's bring in Mr. Shelton Mlilo. Shelton Mlilo, sawamukela kuhlelo baba. Masocha.
Yebo baba njani?
Siyaphila kakhulu. Yes. So kumele kube lo manyano kube hathi akusitshele khona.
Singathi ukubheka kahle since kudala. Bekuthi kusiba ngesikhathi sokhetho, isikhathi esiningi amandebele yibo abantu abekade bengathi bane view yokubona ukuthi ikhona enye iphathi engafunakaliwe. Kodwa besithi masithi ukubheka kahle masithi kubheka kahle abantu abaningi amavotsi ezanu ebetholakala ekwemunye umngcwele. Ngesikhathi lesibona bebengakubona ububi. Abantu ade bebabe ngamandebele because izulu belisanetha ngale besathola into abayifunayo. Okwamanje ngokubona kwabo ukuthi all right, into le yayibonwa ngalabo abanye abantu sesiyibona manje ukuthi hayi i-wrong le nto le. Sebeqala manje ukuthi hayi asibambaneni isandla sithi nokuthi ngoba izulu alisanethi kubo. So kunzima thina kithi ukuthi izulu vele inganethi. Nakuwe wena belinetha ubungasinaki. Lithi mase lingasanethi kubo sithi sibambisana ibhaketi, hayi thina si right sizibambela ibhaketi sizodwa. Labo abakufakayo yibo okumele bakukhiphe. Liqiniso likhona. Kodwa mbuye ngithi futhi ukuzibamba umlomo ngithi mina ngingumuntu isikhathi esiningi sesiphilile sahlangana nabantu ngemshado ngokuzalana ngani. So kunzima ukuthi manje sijudge ukuthi i-tribal eyiyo yipi, i-tribal kabani yipi. Because mina manje ngawubuza umbuzo we-1 ukuthi akungitshela abantu laba abaningi ababuya bethi bangamandebele. Bonke ngamandebele na or i-tribe siya ngokuthi siyakhona ukukhuluma isindebele. Phela kwamanje masithi i-tribe abantu sebakuthatha ukuthi mangikhona ukukhuluma isishona kusho ngilishona. Mangikhona ukukhuluma isindebele kusho ngilindebele. Kanti hathi cha. Ama-tribe esinawo maningi kakhulu eZimbabwe kodwa ngendaba ukuthi indebele neshona li-rise lifuna i-power. That's why so ngathi kuthiwa kune-tribalism kunani. Kanti ama-tribes maningi. So mina ngithi baba akungichazele ukuthi ngokufunda kwakho singabe sinama-tribes amangaki thina la eZimbabwe.
Yeah, so in brief ungakwanisa ukufaka ngesikhiwa khona okade ukhuluma ngakho. Very briefly.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, just
but I will start by asking you a question. Since I was born, or since from primary up to secondary, up to my A level, they used to tell us that Ischwala in English it's Sadza. Ne? It's right, ne? They used to tell us
so hopefully
Ischwala in English is Sadza. For that is tribalism. You can't take one of students from Thembelihle South now, even today from primary school, and ask him or her that same question. The only answer that she or he will give you is only Sat. So that's where the problem started. Because even if now you can check on internet or somewhere, Ndebele is excluded from the languages. It's not a language. It's not considered as a language. It's just a media of communication between the people.
So do you believe
yes.
in coalitions?
I believe in coalition, like I said before, that due to intermarriages and some stuff, it's hard for these days to say, yeah, I'm a Ndebele, or I'm a Shona, or I'm a Veda, or I'm a Sotho. For now, we need change. Everyone needs change. And there's no other way. But there are some points that we must face first before we go against the enemy. These challenges are, even in South Africa, the Zulus, they have got their own land. The Swatis, they have got their own land. So, similar to Zim, Venda, they should have their own lands. Ndebeles, they should have their own known lands. Shonas, they should have their own known lands. And we need separate governments. That's what I can say. For
Right.
now, we can shake hands and attack the enemy. But how about after the party?
Okay, all right. We hear you. Marvelous. There.
Yeah.
Marvelous. Go ahead.
aiwa mukoma vanga vari kubva kutaura ava vari kutaurawo pfungwa dzavo vari kutaura zviri kubva pamwoyo wavo, asi chandabata pekupedzisira ndo pavasitaura kuti ivo semaonero avo vanoona unge zvakanaka hazvo kuti vanhu vemapato anopikisa vabatane panguva yesarudzo, asi chiri kunyanyovanetsa pamwe pavo ndezvekuti chinozoitika chii mushure mekunge vapinda musarudzo, tomboti vakunda zvinozofamba sei. Ivo vari kuda kuti kana zvichinge zvadaro vanhu vanobvawo kumathembelihle land vaite sezvinoitwa kuSouth Africa kuti kunenge kune Venderland neChiland, vanhu vachizvitonga ikoko vane hurumende yavo. Devolution I think ndo zvainotaurwa kuZimbabwe, asi ndo maonero avo avari kutaura.
Ye baba Ngulube ngena kunapo-ke ngamafutshane ngoba isikhathi sethu sesinganisedliwa nguMangoyi. Ngena Ngulube.
Ngiyabonga baba uDube. Bengisithi ngizaphendula ubhuti lwana obekhuluma ngayo ukuthi i-tribalism ayikho, kodwa ngibone ngani indlela ubaba lwana okhulumileyo omdala okhulume ngani usekhala. Ngithemba umfowethu lwana uzafunda ukuthi nxa ekhuluma angathi athi Gugurawundi was a civil war. Gugurawundi was never a civil war. Angathi emathebeleleni ngoba kobulawayo abantu bekhuluma isishona emabhasini athi sokuright, ngoba iqiniso Dube ngitshileyo emashona le eHarare ungakhuluma isishona ku-public transport bayakuthalaza bonke abantu, bayakuthalaza. That thing athi yenzakala kobulawayo kayenzakala eHarare. That thing engikhulume mina ukuthi abantu nxa kuyikuthi e-United College laphana eduze kwempilo kuyafundiswa isishona language, but eHarare kakufundiswa isiNdebele. Yikho ngimbuze khona emini ukuthi nxa kuyikuthi e-United College kufundiswa isishona, eHarare kasifundiswa isiNdebele. Angaboni ukuthi yena abantu aba-marginalized nxa be-raise i-issue yabo abe sebabona njengama-tribalist, yikho kuzasenza khona nxa sikhuluma ama-collusion okukhulunywa ngumfowethu yena lo osanda ukukhuluma. I-collusion siyayifuna vele sifuna ukukhipha izalo, but umbuzo vele usesekhona ukuthi bazasithini singaqeda ukusisebenzisa njengodlawo wokukhipha izalo. Siyakwazi ukuthi unkomo bamsebenzisa unkomo vele lo uthi tribalism uthi iqale manje, uthi tribalism yaqala kudala manje isiphethe. Ayiqalanga ayiphelanga manje tribalism. Tribalism kudala yayingekho. iZAPU was made up of all tribes. Ama-key positions kuZAPU unkomo wayesekelwa ngabantu besishoneni, even kobulawa ama-businessmen akudala ngawesishoneni. So after unkomo after 1980 bamkhipha unkomo ngobundebele bamenza engani useyi-tribalist, bambiza wonke amabala. Lo uthi Gugurawundi they killed abafazi ababezithwele abantu izikazana. So nxa sithi civil war, i-civil war kwakusilo ubani lobani esilwa labantu abangalambhobho. Akuzange kube ne-civil war ngesikhathi seGugurawundi.
Yeah, so what is ubaba umlomo khonapo-ke Ngulube sizwe ubaba u-Ellion Masocha professor sicela ukuzwa kumbe siyakuzwa khona manje. Welcome professor. Yeah, professor, today I think things are not going well. So I think maybe we have to come out with a theory of how we can bring him in. So let's see. Yeah, maybe you can, Professor, you can use a phone or a laptop. Maybe that will work. So yes, Samaita, go ahead.
Yeah, ngicela ukuthi abantu bekwazi ngiphendula uNgulube lapha. Kuqhakathekile Ngulube mfowethu ukuthi ufunde umahluko okhona phakathi kweZANU-PF labantu besishoneni. These are two institutions. Abantu besishoneni kasoZANU, iZANU kasomashona. Izinto ezimbili zona lezo. So that is where you are missing it. Nxa ungakwazi ukufunda ukuhlukanisa iparty le tribe, awusozwe le problem. So asoqiniso ukuthi amashona abulala amandebele akulanto enjalo. Ugogo wami mina wayehlala eChivele kakwazi kwayengekho. And then enye into ebengifuna ukuyikhuluma futhi Dube yikuthi if people just bring emotion unnecessarily, then there will never even be a conversation. I know everybody knows the atrocities were committed by ZANU-PF. We have to be clear ukuthi iZANU-PF yiyo eyacommita ama-atrocities. Kulogogo wayezihlalele le checheche ngale engakwazi lokuthi abantu besindebeleni babebulawa. Then namhlanje sibe sesivuka sithi amashona abulala amandebele. I mean, that's not fair. That's a fallacy. You don't think like that. We are not supposed, if we think like that, then we are not going anywhere. And then indaba yokuthi iZAPU yayimanyanisa ama tribes wonke. Siyakwazi lokho ukuthi babe khona uNyandoro, labo Mjuru, labo Mgabe, babe khona laphana kuZAPU beyiqala bendawonye. But we also know ukuthi lezanu iqalwa eNyamandlovu yayilawo wonke abantu besishoneni la besindebeleni. Izanu yona le izanu esihluphayo yona le iqalwa eNyamandlovu yayilayo wonke umuntu. So we have to be careful when we are tackling the issue of tribalism. However, the most important thing right now that we have to do is people should unite. Singamanyana sibe into eyodwa. Sizakwanisa ukuthi silwise iZANU-PF. Sithi nxa ngabe sesilwisa iZANU-PF, sibe sesibona ukuthi izinto lezi zenziwa njani. Ufuna ukucorrect uNgulube futhi again, he lacks in statistics. Ngulube lacks statistics. Abantu besishoneni, they are close to 80% of our country's population. So you don't expect the demographics of Harare to be the same demographics in Bulawayo. It doesn't work like that, Ngulube. Abantu besishoneni banengi kakhulu. So ungayeChinoi, indlela abantu abakhuluma ngayo eChinoi kayisoze ifana nendlela abantu abakhuluma ngayo koBulawayo. And those people are not tribalists.
Yes, Kudzai Samaita. Can you put that in English just briefly, and then we try to bring.
Okay. So the first,
yes,
the first thing that I said here in Ndebele was that Ngulube needs to know that ZANU-PF is a separate entity from the Shona. ZANU is not Shona. Shona is not ZANU. And then to accuse Shonas of having butchered the Ndebeles is untrue, and it's a fallacy. My grandmother in Chivu there did not know that Ndebeles were being butchered in Bulawayo in Thembelihle. That was none of her business. She was not involved. There was no social media. There was no WhatsApp. She didn't even know about it. People did not even know about Kukurawundi. So it's not Shonas who butchered the Ndebeles. These atrocities were committed by ZANU-PF, and people must separate the Shona from ZANU-PF.
So
and then I say,
basically here, the big question is there cannot be a coalition with other small parties because of that issue of Kukurawundi or some other issue, right? So briefly, 1 minute on you.
Okay, for us to be able to fix that, we have to say who committed ZANU-PF, because right now we have a problem of Ndlovu and Ngulube thinking that Shonas are suspects. Ndlovu even spoke about Mtane Nyoga. That's not true. Chamisa was not there when Kukurawundi was being committed, and you cannot expect Chamisa to behave like Robert Mugabe. These are separate. So people must separate, first of all, Shonas from ZANU-PF. Then they can understand. And again, if people are saying no to coalitions, if people are saying no to unity, then unfortunately, I must say, Thembelihle will continue to suffer. Bazaphila ngengqweqwe zomlomo bengayekela ukuhlangana labanye. Wozani simanyane silwise isitha. And then ZANU-PF did not butcher people only in Thembelihle. ZANU-PF butchered in Mutare, in Murewa, Karoi, everywhere. ZANU-PF started butchering people a long time ago. They were calling people sellouts and killing them. The numbers might not be the same. And then the last thing that I mentioned was where the statistics, people have to be careful with demographical statistics. Shonas make close to 80% of Zimbabwean population. So you don't expect the behavior of people in Chinoi Central to be the same as the people in Bulawayo. And again, Bulawayo is a metropolitan city, I must add this. From the onset, Bulawayo was the industrial capital of Southern Africa. So Bulawayo attracted people from all corners of Zimbabwe, including, that's why you have people like myself being born in Bulawayo, because our parents were moving from wherever they were moving to come and work in this industrial capital.
Yes, thank you, Samaita. So, marvelous. Maybe go for Ndlovu right now.
Professor Masocha. Professor Masocha, tinavo parunare. Munoona sei nyaya iyi yekubatana kwemapato tiri kunzwa pane vamwe vekumutwakazi vari kuti kwete hazviite nekuti ivo sevanhu vari kubulawayo vaone kunge vangabatana nevanhu vemashona.
nyaya dzataurwa apa ihombe dzakakora dzinorwadza zvekare muhistory yezimbabwe, but ndakatarisa ini vanoti vanhu havafaniri kubatana, ndinoona sokuti ndo the biggest enemy vezimbabwe ivavo vanoramba kubatana navamwe, nokuti kubvira vangomo chaivo vakafa vabatana navamwe. Saka handizivi vanhu vanoti pati yavangomo ivo vasingadi kutevedzera zvirongwa zvavangomo nezvavakasiya vaumba vangomo. Handizivi kuti vanhu vakaita sei vanhu ivavo. Ndivo vendingati ndivo maenemy ezimbabwe asingadi kubatana navamwe kubvisa ZANU-PF. Ini tine history yepolitics muVictoria Falls. Pakaitika zvose zvara gukura windi tanga tiri muVic Falls, samashona pati yeZANU-PF ikafomewa muVic Falls nababa vangu. Racism kana discrimination iriko kwese kana uno kuAmerica kuno. Saka kana tichida kubudirira muZimbabwe, kana tichida kuti tizotonga pati dzedu seopposition, tinofanira kubatana. Pati inozviti iyo isu hatibatani navamwe kana kuti isu tisu vatsvene kudarika vamwe, sokunzwa kwakamboita veCCC vachitaura kuti pati dzakati dziri irrelevant. Kungotaura chete kuti mumwe munhu uri irrelevant mudemocracy yatinoda kuumba ndokukoniwa ikoko. Hakuna munhu uri irrelevant nezvaari kuita. Ndingatora sokuti veCCC ivavo vazhinji vacho varimo, tikatarisa vana Job Scala, tikatarisa vana Tendai Biti kana Chamisa, vose vakambobuda vakafoma zvipati zvavo vachibuda kune dzimweke zvinovadzokazve. Chavanoda chaicho handizivi kuti kubatana here nokubvisa ZANU-PF kana kuti vanoda kuramba vachingoputsa opposition isazofa yakatonga. Munofunga imi kuveCCC kana mapati, munofunga imi kana makanatsozvifunga chaizvo mungafa makabhita ZANU-PF nokupatsanuka kwamuri kuita? Ngative nechokwadi mukutaurirana chokwadi. Kana pasina unity yeZAPU, pasina unity yamapati esayo, hakuna pati yeopposition inozombofa yakatonga yakabvisa ZANU-PF. Nokuti sokutaura kwatakamboita nezuro, ZANU-PF pachirungu inenge ine inonzi iyo first mover advantage. Mukatarisa chinonzi first mover advantage kumabusiness, munonyatsokuona kuti maseparation amina weiwaya, you will never ever beat ZANU-PF because inotova ne-first mover advantage. Ndiyo pati yakatanga kutonga Zimbabwe. Hazvifi zvakabviswa izvozvo zvokuti ndiyo pati yakatanga kutonga. Ama-advantage ayo haafi akabviswa kana tikati isa hatibatani namashona, isa hatibatani namandevere. At the end of the day, kana muchipinda mupolitics, vada kupinda mupolitics, zivai kuti tose tiri maZimbabwe. The moment yamunobva makotanga kuti mundevere, mushona, mukadzi, murume, hamuna kwamuri kuenda. Hapana chatatamboita muZimbabwe mose takabatana tikatadza kubudirira. Hazvisati zvaboitika. ZANU neZAPU vakabatana kuwana independence muZimbabwe. Imi kana muchida kufa makazotonga munofanira kutevedzera izvo zvakaita maleaders eZANU neZAPU kubatana, even vakava namaggrievances between them. But zvinozoonekwa mberi mahwina, kwete kutanga kuti chii chinozoitika kana tikahwina. Zvakati zvikati hamusati mahwina. So you can't answer that question.
Thank you very much. You can put that in English just briefly. 1 minute.
Maybe I just wanted
Professor Masocha, just 1 minute. Then we'll go to Thembelihle Ndlovu. Go ahead, Masocha. So she is not hearing me?
We don't have anyone from CCC on this panel. I just wanted to make that correction. And then also there's Douglas Toney who's saying, Chokwadi, Mr. Masocha. Tell them. So tell us in English.
Well, what I was, there are a lot of big issues that have been raised, painful issues in the history of Zimbabwe. But, remember, we don't belong to the past. Anybody who wants to have the inspiration of Dr. Joshua Ngomo should go for unity with other parties. Anyone who is going to say that I'm not going to, I'm not going to have a coalition with this party and that party and that, but that person is the biggest enemy of Zimbabwe. Because the moment you are going to highlight and say, oh, the Ndebelés have done this, the Shonas have done this, then we are going to be stuck right in the history of Zimbabwe, right? Life does not move backwards. move forward. Zimbabwe needs unity. Whenever we are getting in politics, let's get in politics calling ourselves Zimbabweans, not women, men, blue, green, and whatsoever. And when looking at the opposition parties, I see that CCC is composed of people who have at one point in their political careers have split from the original MDC and from their own party MDC, 99 and this and that, and now they have come back together, and some of them are calling other parties irrelevant. I was reading an article today from one of the CCC, I think it's the deputy leader, saying Cooper and Monjora are this and that. Those are the biggest enemies in the political history of Zimbabwe, to call somebody irrelevant in a democracy that we are fighting for. What type of democracy is that when we are calling each other irrelevant?
Thank you.
The person who is calling somebody irrelevant is the person who is the most irrelevant, and because he doesn't know what democracy is all about. It's about respecting other people's views.
Thank you so much, Professor Masocha. Let's go to Ubabu Thembelihle Ndlovu. Thembelihle, your last word. Sikhulume khonapho uyibeke bandla ukuthi wena uyiwa phambili kumele kwenziweni ba.
Yazi ngizothanda ukuphendula ngoba kukhuluma abantu cishe abawu3 emva kwami.
Khuluma baba, isikhathi
Ngizophendula umfowethu angimazi bathi ubani lo nesikiphe esibomvu.
Samaita
Maethi yena amashona namandebele awaxabani Ndlovu. Mfuka umbaleli izinto azozibona noma ehlele 1. Eyokuqala angeke ukuthi mawushada usiso wami ubususithi amandebele namashona azwana. Okwesibili angeke ungitshele wena ukuthi kuno iblawayo yo emathebhelele into yonke kahle kahle 100% ezikolweni ngamashona, 100% ezibhedlela ngamashona, 100% ezibhedlela police station ngamashona. Bese ngibuye ezikolweni i-English yadinga ukuchasiswa ngesintu ukuze umntwana akwazi to catch that word in English from his language. And then abese sithi yena amandebele namashona kunobudlelwano, akunabudlelwano la. Into yokuqala le. Ngibuye futhi ngithi mina kuyena ngizongixolela ngoba inhliziyo yami sisuke yaba phezulu kakhulu. Ngibuye ngithi futhi angathi yena athi abantu ababambana abese sithi kumele siyenze okwayenzwa ngoNkomo kudala. uNkomo wakuyenza, it was the first and last. Angicabanga ukuthi kube bekasaphila manje umqabuko obezoyenza lento yana okuhlanganisa itafula. Izanu uqeda ukukhuluma lo mfo uthi yena amashona maningi ukudlula amandebele. Thina sizobambisana nawo wonke amaphathi la akhona. Thina sobe siwu50 bona be100. Mabeqeda noma masiqeda kuyina lento yokususa izanu, sesiyisusile izanu bazothatha isikali bazifake esikalini. Yiphi ezoba phezulu, yiphi ezoba phansi. I100 izoba phezulu ukudlula i50. Be sensitive. Entweni ezinjalo.
Isikhathi sethu isesidlule ngumangoye. So give Shelton his last word. Shelton, your last word, just a few seconds. Can you your last word?
Ngiyezwa nendoda esikhuluma manje isithukuthele. Kunamagama athukuthelisayo sometimes. Some of the ways they get some people angry, especially that guy who just tried to justify what happened during the Kukurawonje, what happened there back then. If you may recall everything, those other stories from Zilikazi going in Zimbabwe, some stuff, it was before the time of unity. If the Ndebeles are talking of the Kukurawonde, they are talking of the after party from the day of the unity. So please, those people, they must stop trying to justify themselves. It's better to say sorry than to act as if you don't know anything. So this thing pains most of the Ndebeles, that most of the Shonas, they try to justify the Kukurawonde massacre. And for that is wrong. Please, I'm begging those brothers, those Shona brothers, stop justifying yourself and face the truth. It's better to say, guys, we are sorry for this and this. We are going to do this and this for you. Let's move on. Not just to give us the reason that Mzilegazi did the back then. So as us, we have to go back to Chaga's rule there back in Zanzibar. For that is wrong. Because we came here and united with the Shonas. After the unity, they did the same thing. So we are now afraid that if we unite for now, what is going to happen after our unity?
Thank you very much. On that note, Marvelous, we come to the end of the show, and we are happy that so many people participating
Maybe
today.
let's
So
just
we
give
don't have
30
time. We don't have time.
Masocha is burning to say something from what
Yeah, but the problem is our time is out, so we can't do it. So, Professor Masocha, we invite you for another round, maybe on Friday. We have the same discussion. So we thank Professor Ellion Masocha, Mr. Thembelihle Ndlovu of Mtwakazi Republic Party, independent activists Kudzai Samaita, Joseph Ndlovu, Sipho Ngulube, and Shelton Mlilo. And signing off from Maryland, this is Gibbs Dube saying good night, Zimbabwe.
I'm Marvelous Mhlanga-Nyahuye, and would also like to thank Dr. Ellion Masocha, who was on the phone on this side.
Thank you very much. Good night, all. Siyabonga kakhulu.